Okay, so I have got all them holes drilled, and these holes get a little crazy. If you can only imagine all them little marks, all them holes I had to do with the drill. And that's where something like a Dremel would come in handy, or just if you wanted to do an awl, just take the awl and punch through. But that's what I'm going to do here. Is I'm just going to kind of open them up just a little bit for these top ones. That'll kind of give me a mark as to where I'm going to be at. Just the top view here. And then we'll go to the next step, which is punching the holes in for the belt slots. Okay, I apologize that I don't have a table to work on, a bench or anything. My garage that I'm in right now is just not big enough to allow it. So we're just have to work with what we have. What we have here are the two pieces, and as you can see, I had to get slots in there somehow, and I used this hole punch to punch through one side at a time, and I didn't do both sides together. I just did one piece at a time, and they might have been off just a little bit, but that's where the X-Acto and the chisel comes in place. So what I have is just that punch, and then just a regular old, this is a roofing hammer, but the rest of my hammers are gone or something, I don't know. But we'll just take, and I've sharpened this. From the beginning of the video I said it was dull, so I went ahead and sharpened it. Placed it on the edge of my mark. Pump it through. Now it's stuck. Okay. There's one. And I'm just going to go ahead and pop those little plugs out every time, because those become little pain in the butts to remove. The only bad thing is it punches through the wood pretty bad, but it's okay. It's just a scrap piece of wood. And I'm sure there's easier ways, but easier and cleaner ways. But like I said, this is kind of like the poor man's way of doing this project. So minimal tools, minimal professional tools anyways. And that's alright with me. So we'll go to the front side. Pop some little plugs out. I figure something out with what to do with those little plugs. Be pretty cool little projectiles, I think. Hole here. Alright, got it through finally. Alright. So as you can see, I've got all my holes and my punches in there. And those holes actually line up pretty good. So what I'm going to do is basically kind of punch out where I'm going to, because I kind of like the angled belt because it kind of goes back. I like to angle these, as you can see, because this here falls back, and if it was straight up and down, it really wouldn't do that. It has a slight angle. You can't tell it that now, but there you go. But I like that to be a little bit of an angle. So what I'm going to do is I scribed some marks on there. I'll punch this out with the chisel, and then I'll go on and do my sewing and the gluing and everything, and then go back and do the bottom piece. I guess I can't. I mark. Okay, just like so. Now it's nice to have that flat side. Actually, I'm going to get the quarter inch or the half inch. The half-inch chisel is much more controllable at this point. I can control the angles as which, you know, it kind of turns. Like so. And you know, like I said, this could be, like I said earlier, this could be cut out by, you know, X-Acto, by knife, by hand. This little portion here, but that would be a pain in the butt. Would be a pain in the butt. Okay, so now these should just come right on out, or with a little persuasion and the X-Acto knife maybe, I don't know. Nope. Looks like they'll both come. Okay, so now we've got slots, and you know, these are going to be obviously your belt slots. They didn't go over the holes, the other side holes, and they're not undersized. And so when I get these glued and everything and threaded up, this will be on the other side, and I can just punch it right through, and it won't go much further out of the shape than it needs to be. Okay, so now you've got your most important part ahead of you, and that is going to be putting them together. And like I said, we already talked about the utensils needed, and contact cement is where this is the part where contact cement comes in. You obviously need your needles, and I had gone ahead and picked some more up, so these will be for later. These are just, like I said, blunt tipped sewing needles. They're rather large, about the same size as the 1/16 drill bit, almost the exact same size. But I don't know if you can see, if my camera will focus in on those little wee things. They're not tiny, but they're not huge needles either. But anyways, and then you have to decide, do you want brown thread or black thread? This is just what I've got here anyways. And I'm gonna go ahead with the brown again, as I did with my prior one. Okay? So what you need to do is get your two pieces. I'm just going to clean this up real quick so none of this stuff is in the glue. Kind of rough it up just a little bit. Okay. Alright, So you've got your two pieces here, and you have this area here, 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 and here. Obviously, you don't want to glue where the gun will be in this area right here. And so, what you're going to want to do is simply, you're going to need, this is where your clamps will come in for a little bit anyways. Alright, got your clamps, got your contact cement, and this is very kind of potent stuff, so make sure you're in a well ventilated area. And you can kind of go inside that line where the gun's going to be at, because I mean it won't be right there, but just get the whole area nice and covered with contact cement. And I've used different glues before, and this is pretty much the only glue that I'm going to prefer anybody, or I'm going to suggest using anyways. I think you have to be 16 to buy it, so not everybody can get it, like, you know, younger kids and projects or something like that. That's really kind of stupid to put an age limit on something, but okay. Down there at the end too. And it'll kind of go into the holes a little bit, but it won't be very hard at all to take the awl and punch through those again, or the needles. And contact cement you want to set for a little bit before you attach the two pieces. I mean, I guess you could just go ahead and attach the two sides together, but it's not going to set. You know, you're gonna need air to it, really. It's not gonna set right up. So if you get some free open air time first, that'll definitely help the drying later on and curing. And it's not really tedious, you just don't want to get on that inside where your gun's going to be at. And once this sets up and you connect the two sides, it really doesn't take very much time at all to get stiff and set up enough to use, or to, you know, work with and everything. Let's go back over here for a second. Yep, that's getting pretty tacky. I'll put a little bit more over here, and we will come back. Go ahead and lay the two sides together, or preferably outside, being able to check it. Okay. Can't see through the holes because they're all kind of filled, but you can eyeball it down with both. Alright. Pretty generally, there you go. That's going to be your forming for your next step. So I'll let this set up for 30 or 40 minutes and we will come back. Thanks for watching. Okay, it's been about 30 minutes so far and it's starting to set up a little bit. It still has a little bit of sticky tackiness yet, but I'm going to go ahead and take it off, and we're going to go ahead and sew up this side of the holster, and then I'll just go back and run the awl back through this side because these kind of closed up after the glue got through them and stuff. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and do a, I don't know, I've heard of a cowboy stitch. I don't know, I've heard it as a cowboy stitch, but basically you just run your thread through one side and then you go back and forth. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up here, go down, around, and then back up. And then so my connection point is, my only end point is right here. And so it'll be just one continuous here, or one continuous all the way around, and then back up to here. And that's for my burn mark, which you can see one right there, one right there, and one right there are. Where else can you see one? There's one right there you can barely see. So we'll start this out, and being this is only $3.50 for 25 yards, get a bunch of the thread out, because you never want to come up short with this. I mean, because I have, and it sucked because you have to start off. You don't want to get to like right here and not have enough to do 3 more runs. And I've heard from other forums and stuff that say you want enough. So you measure this all out. This is probably 6, there's probably 8 inches there, and an inch there, and 3 inches there. They say that you just add it all up and then multiply that by 3 or 4 times, and that's how many feet you want. And I'm sure I'm gonna have overly too much with this, but I'd rather have too much left over than not enough to end the whole thing. So what you're going to do is just run these ends. There's one end. I got the other end down here somewhere because it's so much. And see, my other holster, I did 2 different pieces of thread on each side, and that's why I didn't run out on that one, but I just used more than enough thread. So we'll start up top here, work our way down, come up and around, and then down and back up. Now it looks uneven, but that's what the sander will come in handy for later, and that will even the stitching and the edges out and kind of burnish it. And then after that we will I'll show you how I burnish the edge, which is basically just burning the edge of the leather. And this is where I like to use pliers. Now these are spring loaded so that I can easily let go. These are actually just welding pliers that I had, because the rest of my pliers are kind of junk. So I don't have oh, they call them a horse or something like that, a sewing horse, or I don't know what the proper name of them for. But you would set it between your legs. And I don't have any problem doing it right here, just freehand, kind of like your, you know, knitting or something. I mean, and that, I'm telling you, that contact cement really sets up in those holes. So you gotta either pull these out with pliers or get the awl. And you do have to be careful because you can break these needles because they're so big, but they're like big babies, big baby needles. They break very easily compared to like regular sewing needles. The connection where the thread goes through is very thin and rather weak, I believe. So then I notice I forgot to tell you that I'm not going back and forth yet. This is because I like to do one complete strand of thread before I go back completely and do the other side. So I'll go in and out, in and out, in and out with one strand, and then come back with the other side, going the other side of it, doing in and out, in and out. And they will the other side will look identical to this side. You want to pull and make it tight so it looks very good. Make it all equal. And the only bad thing is that you don't always get a straight line, but we will here. This is going to look perfect, I think, anyways. I hope so. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this side off, and then I'll bring you back to the completed side.